Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Underwater Cities, a game designed by Vladimir Suchy and coming from Delicious Games. In Underwater Cities, the Earth has become overpopulated and the great and the good have turned to the oceans to house us. And it is our job to create a network of underwater seas, possibly connecting to the outside world and make them self-sufficient and producing in order to score the most points over the course of 10 rounds to win the game. On players' turns, they're going to choose an action from those available on the board, and also possibly they might be able to play a card from their hand. Now, when you choose an action, you look at the cards in your hand, and they are of the three different colours of the actions, and if you match the action to a card in your hand, you get to play it. Now, I'm going to come back to the cards because they very much feed off what you can do with the actions. So on your turn, you can choose one of the basic ones. Going up here and in other spaces will get you the basic resources in the game. You've got kelp, which you'll need to feed your cities. You've got steel plast, which you'll need to create construction and build up your network. You've got science that you'll need to upgrade the various things you build. And you've got biomatter, which lets you build symbiotic cities, which score you more points and also can count as one of the other basic resources, as well as having some money, which you can use. Now, what are we going to be doing with all those resources? Well, you can come to various spots on the board, and this one down here, for example, will let you take a kelp or it will let you build a city. There are two types of cities. You've got non-symbiotic and symbiotic. Now, the only difference is that it costs biomatter to build these, and they will earn you a few points in the production phases throughout the game. When you build a city, you can put it anywhere on your board. Now, if you put it down, it's not connected to the rest of your network. It hasn't been populated yet. It won't activate. It won't cost you kelp, but it also won't produce anything for you. So how are we going to connect it up? You can go to various spots and they let you build tunnels. Now, tunnels always cost you some money, but they also will generate money and possibly some points during production. And then you can place your tunnels down, always connecting back to your start city, which will be bottom right. You might get a little bonus for putting them down. And once you connect a city, it's active. And as I said, you can connect to the outside world, earning one-time bonuses, ongoing bonuses, or in this top left one, there'll always be a brown one, which will get you some end game points. So we can connect our cities, that's great, but currently they are only drains on our resources. We need them to get becoming more productive. There are three different types of buildings that you can attach to your cities. They are kelp farms, laboratories, and desalination plants. Now, when you build them, they cost a certain thing. For example, this desalination plant is going to cost me money, but again, in each production phase, it's going to earn me money back. And the kelp farm is going to make kelp, which again, you're going to need to feed your people. If you don't feed your cities during a production phase, you must spend biomatter. If you can't spend biomatter, you'll start losing some points. You can also build laboratories, and they are going to earn you science. Now, why do you want science? Because there's another space you can go to that will either earn you science or allow you to start upgrading your buildings. You can upgrade tunnels. When you upgrade tunnels, as well as earning you money in the production phase, they'll start earning you points. You can also upgrade your buildings. Now, for example, this kelp farm was producing one kelp each production. Now it's producing a kelp and a point. If you have two upgraded buildings next to the same city, they sort of super duper upgrade. And instead of producing 2 kelp and 2 points, these will now produce 3 kelp and 3 points between them. And thereby your production will start going as you build your network up and add buildings to the cities you have built. That is most of the actions you can do on the actual action board. You can go up on this federation track, which will decide player order for the next turn and will also earn you a few bonuses. So we'll start talking about the different types of cards that you can use. Now, you always start your turn with 3 cards. You always draw a card at the end of your turn. You may earn extra cards. You have, while the games go around the table, to sort out which 3 cards you wish to keep for the start of the next turn. You get instant action ones. Things like this will earn me 1 money and move me up on the federation track, or let me draw more cards and get me more science, or this rush job would allow me to build a desalination plant outside of the actual action, just from this card action, and start making this city more productive, for example. But there are other types. There are permanent cards which will help you out every time you do something. So this biomech construction crew, every time I upgrade a tunnel, I'll earn money. Or a black ops team that will get me steel plast every time I am forced to or choose a card that isn't linked to the colour of the action I have chosen. There are also action cards. Now, there are spots on the board that have this A on them, meaning you can activate one of your action cards. It wonks, and at the end of each turn, they will all reset. This one lets me build a city. You start with a person assistant that will get you a couple of bits. Scavenge the seafloor for some basic resources. And the last type are production buildings, and they will activate in the production turns, and they will give you some basic income either just for being there or for things that you've done, like turning an improved tunnel into an improvised greenhouse and getting you kelp and science out of it. I keep mentioning these production phases. At the end of the 4th round, you're going to go into production. All your buildings will produce, you'll have to feed your people, you'll get your actions back, and you may score a handful of points from these cities, for example, moving up here on the track, which is after all the goal of the game. Once we move into round 5, these Era 1 cards will be gone, and we will start using the Era 2 cards, which move on obviously, and then in the end we'll start using Era 3 cards. In the Era 3 cards, you will get some endgame scoring possibilities, which will score right at the end. Now, these have got endgame scoring possibilities in them, but they are pale in comparison to the special cards which are available. Now, via some card actions or by this action slot, you'll be able to take special cards. There are 2 different types. These are the 1 and 2 cost ones, and these are the only cards that cost you money to pay. And they are obviously cost 1 or 2. You can take the top 1 or look through the next 3, and they come into your hand until you decide to play them. And they'll just give you extra super duper stuff like this island earns you money and kelp each production phase. These cost 3 cards. There are 10 of them in the whole game, but only 6 ever get played, and they will give you endgame scoring opportunities. So when we get to the end game, how are we going to score? Any of these you've played will score you points. For example, you can hand in Steel Plast here for points up to a maximum of 14. For having pairs of developed kelp farms, that will score you points. This one's going to score you points for your symbiotic cities, and so on. Also going to score points for whatever your brown metropolis is on the side of the board. This one happens to score me points for having played special cards, but again, they vary. Each of the cities on your board is going to score you 2 points, with bonuses for all the different types of cities upgraded, different types of buildings upgraded or not, you have next to that city. You're then going to hand in your resources. Your basic ones need 4 of them to earn 1 credit, or 2 biomatter for a credit. You then hand your credits in for points, and each 4 credit is worth 1 point. You see who scored the most at the end of the 10 rounds, and that person will be the winner of Underwater Cities. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel. For more in-depth coverage of gaming, please check out the Game Pit podcast. Thank you.